The UK is in a spot of bother. Economically speaking, it's like that mate who keeps borrowing a fiver and never quite gets around to paying you back. Except in this case, the fiver is actually billions of pounds, and the mate is the UK government. Debt is piling up, prices are soaring, and the pound is taking a nosedive. It's not a pretty picture. The numbers are stark, and the reality is even starker. The UK's national debt is now over 99% of its GDP. That's like having a credit card maxed out to the limit and then some. Imagine trying to pay off a debt that keeps growing faster than you can manage. Inflation is also running rampant, making everyday goods and services more expensive. From groceries to utilities, nothing is spared. And let's not forget about the shrinking workforce and stagnant productivity, which aren't helping matters. Businesses are struggling to find workers, and those who are employed are finding it hard to keep up with the rising cost of living. It's a perfect storm of economic woes, and the UK is right in the eye of it. The combination of high debt, inflation, and low productivity is creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. So, how did they get here? What led to this economic quagmire? Well, there's one word that keeps popping up: Brexit. The decision to leave the European Union has had far-reaching consequences, affecting trade, investment, and overall economic stability. The road ahead is uncertain, and the UK faces significant challenges in navigating this economic crisis. Brexit. The political equivalent of that mate who gets really drunk at a party and decides to leave early, loudly proclaiming that they're better off on their own, except in this case the mate is the UK, the party is the European Union, and the hangover is very, very real. In 2016, the UK held a referendum on whether to remain in the EU. The result? 52% voted to leave. It was a close call, and it divided the nation. Leave campaigners promised a brighter future with more control over borders, laws, and money. Remainers warned of economic turmoil and isolation. As it turns out, the Remainers may have had a point. Brexit has been anything but smooth sailing. In fact, it's been more like a roller coaster ride through a hurricane. Trade deals have been renegotiated, borders have become more complicated, and the economy has taken a hit. Now, let's talk about the EU, the European Union. It's not perfect by any means. Like any large organization, it has its flaws. It's bureaucratic, it can be slow-moving, and it's got its fair share of internal squabbles. Politicians often debate fiercely, and protests are not uncommon, but for all its flaws, it's a pretty remarkable achievement. The EU represents a significant step towards unity and cooperation. Imagine a group of countries, once at each other's throats, deciding to put aside their differences and work together for the common good. This was no small feat. That's the EU in a nutshell, a union of diverse nations working towards common goals. Formed in the aftermath of World War II, the EU's goal was to prevent another devastating conflict by fostering economic cooperation, and it worked. The vision was to create a peaceful and prosperous Europe. The EU has helped to create a single market, allowing for the free movement of goods, services and people. This has made trade easier and travel more accessible. It's also given its members more bargaining power on the world stage. Together they can negotiate better deals and have a stronger voice. Joining the EU meant playing by the rules. Each member had to adhere to certain standards and regulations. But it also meant reaping the benefits. The advantages often outweighed the challenges. For the UK, this included access to a massive market, tariff-free trade, and the free movement of people, which brought in skilled workers and boosted the economy. The benefits were substantial, impacting various sectors positively. So why did the UK decide to leave this seemingly good thing? What drove the nation to make such a monumental decision? Well, there were a few reasons. One of the most significant was immigration. The free movement of people within the EU meant that EU citizens could live and work in the UK without any restrictions. This policy was designed to promote unity and economic growth across member states. While this brought many benefits, such as a diverse workforce and cultural exchange, it also led to concerns about pressure on public services and jobs. Many felt that the influx of people strained the NHS, schools and housing. Then there was the issue of sovereignty, a deeply emotional and political topic. Some argued that the UK had surrendered too much power to Brussels, the EU's headquarters. They believed that decisions affecting the UK should be made in the UK, not by an external body. They felt that the UK should be able to make its own laws, control its own borders, and have full autonomy over its policies. And let's not forget about money. Financial contributions were a major sticking point. The UK was a net contributor to the EU budget, meaning it paid in more than it got back. This financial imbalance was a source of frustration for many. Leave campaigners argued that this money could be better spent elsewhere, such as on domestic priorities like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. In the end, it was a complex mix of factors that led to the UK's decision to leave the EU. Economic, political, and social concerns all played a part. But one thing's for sure, it was a decision with far-reaching consequences affecting everything from trade to daily life in the UK. Section 5, the fallout Brexit sting. It's been a bumpy ride since the UK left the EU. Remember that roller coaster through a hurricane? Yeah, it's been kind of like that. The pound took a nosedive, businesses faced uncertainty, and trade with the EU became more complicated. One of the biggest issues has been the Northern Ireland Protocol. This was part of the Brexit deal designed to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, which is an EU member. However, it's caused headaches for businesses and political tensions. Then there's the issue of labour shortages. The free movement of people ended with Brexit, making it harder for businesses to find workers, especially in sectors like hospitality and agriculture. This has contributed to supply chain issues and rising prices. Section 6 services, not steel, a risky game. The UK economy is heavily reliant on services like finance, tech and tourism. Think of it as a fancy restaurant with Michelin star chefs, but no farm to supply the ingredients. It might look impressive, but it's vulnerable if those supply chains are disrupted. While services can be lucrative, they're also more susceptible to economic shocks. Brexit has made the UK more reliant on trade deals with other countries, which can be unpredictable. And let's not forget about competition from other global players. The UK's service-driven economy is a double-edged sword. It's brought prosperity in the past, but it's also exposed the country to risks, especially in the wake of Brexit. Section 7, India's takeaway, a cautionary tale. The UK's economic woes offer a valuable lesson for other countries like India. It's a reminder that even seemingly strong economies can be vulnerable to political and economic shocks. India, with its own aspirations for global economic leadership, should take note. One key takeaway is the importance of diversification. India has a thriving IT sector, but it also needs to strengthen its manufacturing base and reduce its reliance on imports. The UK's experience shows the risks of putting all your eggs in one basket. Another lesson is the need for careful planning and consultation before making major economic decisions. Brexit was rushed through with little thought for the long-term consequences. India should avoid repeating this mistake. Section 8, the domino effect, global implications. The UK's economic struggles have implications that extend far beyond its borders. It's a reminder that we live in an interconnected world, and what happens in one country can have ripple effects on others. The UK is a major player in the global economy. Its economic woes have caused uncertainty in financial markets and could potentially lead to a slowdown in global trade. This is bad news for everyone, not just the UK. The UK's experience also highlights the fragility of the rules-based international order. Brexit was a blow to multilateralism and could embolden other countries to pursue their own narrow interests, potentially leading to further instability. Section 9. Can the UK recover? A glimmer of hope. It's not all doom and gloom for the UK. The country has a long history of resilience and innovation. It's weathered economic storms before, and it can do so again, but it's going to take time, effort, and a bit of luck. One potential bright spot is the tech sector. The UK is home to some of the world's leading tech companies and has a strong track record of innovation. This sector could help to drive economic growth in the years to come. Another opportunity lies in renewable energy. The UK has set ambitious targets for reducing its carbon emissions and is investing heavily in renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. This could create new jobs and boost the economy. Section 10. Lessons learned, the path forward. The UK's economic journey since the Brexit referendum has been a turbulent one. It's a cautionary tale about the risks of political and economic upheaval. But it's also a story of resilience and the enduring power of human ingenuity. The UK's experience offers valuable lessons for other countries like India. It highlights the importance of diversification, careful planning and international cooperation. It also underscores the need for strong leadership and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances. The UK's economic future remains uncertain, but by learning from its mistakes and embracing new opportunities, the country can chart a course towards a more prosperous and sustainable future.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.